Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 14 of the Forsaken Council. And my name is Liam Knight, and I'm your host. And tonight I am joined by the wonderful Lucy, the Face, aka Insector Gadget, TSM, and of course Monster. I don't know where Ren is at the moment. He's running a bit late. I'm not sure. I'm sure he said he was on tonight, unless I've missed something, guys. Have I?
He put a question mark up, so I'm not sure where he is, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, so it's been another interesting week in the game, and certainly an interesting update today. We've had the June work in progress drop. Maybe not as big as some of the other work in progresses we've seen recently, so at least I can be thankful for that. But the update was interesting as well, the additions to the Foundry, and of course we've got kind of like a campaign time-limited thing coming this weekend, although it's not a campaign. Correct?
Yeah. Yep, that's it.
That's it, and of course, guys, we are very gifted tonight in the fact that Kixeye have given the Forsaken Council a very slight exclusive. Well, actually not a slight exclusive, it's quite a nice exclusive. We have an exclusive tonight regarding the upcoming raid. Well, around some of the raid prizes, non-public information as of yet, and yeah, some information about the new weapon and how it's going to operate, and also the new hull and how the new hull is going to operate. But what we're going to do is we're not going to tell you that till right at the very end. But in the meantime, I'm going to bring David up on screen here, because David actually has the picture there. There it is, and that is, honestly, that is such a nice looking hull. Like, when I first seen that hull, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it does look damn sexy, I'm not going to lie.
That almost looks as good as my hair.
It's close. It's close.
Yeah, it needs the goo, man. It needs the goo.
It's debatable. We'll say. But no, I mean, definitely props to Kixeye's design team or their art team. Whoever worked on this has done a fantastic job. And the colours are spot on. I mean, the little sort of glow of red just looks brilliant.
It's a good colour scheme, I have to say.
Mm-hmm. And it kind of ties in with the recent sort of whole scheme we've seen. I mean, it looks very much like Citadel, Centurion, Apollo kind of style. So, and I like that. I like that we're kind of in the same theme at the moment.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay. But yeah, no, that picture isn't an exclusive, because I think that picture's already on the forum, is it not? Someone has said to me it was on the forum, but yeah, I mean, it looks great, and from that picture, it actually does it look like it's got 6 weapon slots there as well.
Yeah, it looks like it, but I think, yeah, it does look like it from the picture, I have to say.
Well, guys, I do have some information regarding the hull. Well, we do as a show, which we can present to you, and we will present to you later in the episode. Now, Lucy, how are those slides coming along?
I'm just saving them just now, so who wants them?
Well, I will take them gladly while the rest of the guys entertain you with some idle chat.
Well, we can discuss the confirmation today about the change in the FM targets, and the date of the 22nd of June is the disappearance date now. So that's set in stone, which is quite, it's been quite debated on heavily, in fact, on the forum. I've tried to reiterate twice that basically from the raid onwards you won't see them again, which was congested, but now confirmed.
Well, there's something in there that kind of confused me a little bit, right? They up the points required, or they're going to up the points required for Tier 5 to 350 million, right? Now, it was stated that the damage is going to remain the same, and the points payout has been increased so that you will still only need to hit the same amount of 97s to reach, to reach Tier 5. So what's the point in upping the points required if it's not going to make any difference whatsoever to how many targets I have to hit, and the targets are remaining the same?
Yeah,
I don't understand. It seems like a lot of useless work to me.
Yeah, I found it, like I said in last week's show, a number's just a number. It doesn't mean anything. It's the number of times you have to hit a target to achieve the number. The number of targets you're going to have to hit is identical to the previous, so what's the darn point?
Oh, I see. Somebody just said in chat, that's right, to stop people from to stop people from grinding 87s, right? So basically, you know, if you're going to grind 87s, it's going to take you a hell of a lot more time now because they increase the amount of points required. Whereas if you were always hitting 97s, it's not going to affect you, basically.
But then you can still grind it out, mate.
Yeah, it's just that it's going to change the amount of time required, the amount of seat time required for you to achieve tier 5 if you're not hitting 97s.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Still things. Well, yeah, no, got it. So it's either spend an awful amount of time sat in the seat, or it's go for the higher targets and do less targets. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Which kind of sucks for the guys who are struggling a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
True, but then again, we've all sat there for a whole weekend sometimes grinding out something, and then obviously 2 months later thinking, well, that was a waste of time because it's now outdated. So, but you know, we have all done the chair time. You know, down the line. If you really want it, you've got to work for it.
Yeah. Well, it's always been that way. When you're smaller, you've got to learn to grind stuff if you want it.
Okay, guys, I think I have got my head around the slides.
The only thing, I can't see people grinding twice a week to do the same thing. I mean, it's hard enough just to get motivation to do it, to take it more past an hour. I can't imagine sitting in the chair for 8 hours twice a week just going through that for an FM. Well, I won't, but you know, I can't imagine a low to mid-level player, you know. Or
I must admit, I've got kind of lazy when it comes to stuff like that. You know, I remember like my first raids, I'd sit there and I'd grind for the whole 4 days, right? You know, and now it's like I'll finish my raid in like a couple of hours, and I don't even want to help people out, man, because it's like I just can't be bothered with it. I'm like, I'm done. I don't even want to log in because people are going to ask me for help. And you know, I was just thinking the other day how lazy I've become with it. Do you know what I mean? Same with the FM, because I got used to auto in it. Do you know what I mean? For so long, but when it first came out, I couldn't auto it. I had to drive it, and I had to be really careful about how I hit stuff. Otherwise, I'd take loads of damage, right?
Well, I mean, I think that's the same for a lot of people, though. You know, like I don't know. I kind of feel that there's that much to do in the game now that you kind of have to auto some stuff. Like I auto base parts, and I used to auto the Forsaken missions. Now I'm kind of steamrolling the 97, so I'm driving again. But I'm sure at some point we'll figure out an auto way as well for that.
Well, I must admit, yeah, I've been very lazy the last couple of weeks because I'm working away and I've only got my mobiles. So I've split my revenge fleet in half, and I've been autoing the 85s. Just splitting 2 holes into one and 2 holes in another one, and then just going with Punishers in a third. And then by the time I've finished from Wit Round, the Revengers are virtually finished doing them by themselves, and I've done nothing. And then just put the fleet back together and then fix it overnight. You know, it hasn't cost me anything, but it's clearly not the most efficient way of doing it. But it's goddamn boring. So.
I do seem to have the slides operational. So, guys, tonight we had the wonderful Monster make the slides, but I had a little bit of a technical issue before the show, and that's why we started a little bit late. But, you know, these things happen. So
Go for it.
And you'll notice his hair is missing creamy goo.
There is a lack of gel tonight, guys, but, you know, it's the sacrifices I make for you, for the community. You know, it's not easy. It's my cross to bear. Anyway, let's go. Is the screen locked on me, or is it only when I speak? Because maybe that would be better anyway.
It looks locked on you to me.
Okay, guys. So the June work in progress, Foundry Assault. I'm not sure if I've got these slides in the correct order, but I believe they are. So just bear with me. The assault line of hulls has been added to the Foundry. Be sure to check out today's release notes for more details. Guys, so I believe we do have some more details regarding that, which we'll get into later in the slides. The fragment drop rates have been increased from June the 3rd at 12 p.m. PDT to June the 5th, 12 p.m. PDT. You may earn double the amount of fragments from targets at all levels of sector threat. A pill will appear in the HUD to indicate when fragment drops are increased. Okay. What do you guys feel about
that? As expected, that's quite a reasonable progression, I think, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good way for the lower end guys to get stuff as well, like.
I'm ambivalent.
Yeah, I don't even have any fragments at the moment, so I'm still at R&D. I'm R&D level 19, so
some of these holes are getting quite interesting now, I have to say.
I do like the built-in turret defense going on the Rhino. I'm not going to lie about that. I think that's quite an awesome addition.
Okay. Sorry, I was discussing gantry parts there, wasn't I? And we're talking about fragment drops. Jesus. Okay. Okay. Moving on. Right, Foundry Tier 5. On June the 7th, Tier 5 will be added to the Foundry. This will include some more modern hulls for crafting and retrofitting. Tier 5 components needed for crafting can be found in the 5th tier of the Forsaken mission. More details on which hulls and associated retrofit bonuses to come. Now, when they say Tier 5, I mean, I'd like to bloody see the Tier 4 of the first section that come out. I'd like to see the Centurion. I'd like to be able to do something with that, But Tier 5 added, so I'm assuming we're going to see the Citadel in Tier 5 for the second section that we got.
That should be the case, shouldn't it?
How do you feel about the Tier 5 stuff, guys? You think we're just going to see some kind of the holes we kind of use in modern day? Like the most recent holes going into Tier 5? Or?
Well, I don't see the Punisher going in there for a start. But there are a couple of the ones that have come out in the last 6 months that could definitely do with a little bit of a tweak now. Well, in fact, more than 6 months. But something like the HC could definitely go in there. That'd be really good.
Yeah, I guess. And the Drake carrier?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, because mine are just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah, well, mine's just not sitting there at all, because I never built them, so...
I don't use mine anymore either. Really, I did use them for Forsaken Mission, but since they changed the Forsaken Mission, I don't use them.
I tell a lie, because I did have one in my base until I changed it recently, so that's the one I built. But it would be nice. It would be nice to see some of these holes come back a little bit. But unfortunately, I think with the whole deflection and resistance bypass and all that kind of stuff, with that division in the game that came a few months ago, I'm not really sure that what could they possibly do to them, unless they gave them some kind of crazy ridiculous stats. Like they're already good at the bracket they're in. Some of those holes, like the heavy cruisers, great at PvE, but will never be PvP. And I don't see that changing in the Foundry. Unless they changed it into a different class, which I don't think will happen. So, well,
that's the thing, they can morph, can't they? And sometimes that's what used to happen when they put in the retro. All of a sudden, a whole transformed into something that was quite different to its initial intention. So,
you mean like maybe jump up into a garrison?
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Some of them haven't got absolute defining roles, have they? They sort of almost overlap into possibly two areas. So if they could just I don't know. Maybe we don't want to be pigeonholed into set tiers, but if you're going to do that.
What I would say to Kicksite is, if they're watching, is that don't forget about the limited holes. And I'm not complaining from a standpoint of a heavy corner, but if you're gonna buff the Rhino, a lot of the players that play that are slightly, I won't want to say a higher level, but maybe a mid-level, maybe won the Zoe Rhinos and didn't build the Rhinos. A lot of people for example, the Crusader, a lot of people went and won the limited one in the campaign and built that, and you're buffing all of the holes, the weaker versions of holes that maybe players have built. So maybe all I'm saying is maybe it might be worth giving some attention to the limited versions of those holes as well.
Ultimately, we had that with the I think simply once they finish playing with the Foundry or a section of the Foundry, the Assault and that stuff, give it a month, and then just automatically in the next month's update is literally give the limited hull an automated equivalent plus maybe 5% or something like that.
Bring it in line.
To bring it in line, but it should always be slightly better. Because that's the whole concept of having
right now, the Kodiak would potentially be a better hull than the Savage Kodiak.
And I was looking at that as well. It does.
Yeah,
look
that's something. That's something I thought as well. Like, really, you've got things like the Savage, the Kodiak just got loads of buffs, and now the Savage Kodiak really needs the same buffs to bring it in line with the fleet that it was meant to be with, right? Do you know what I mean? I'd also like to see deflection added to a Harlock's Aegis or an Aegis. Do you know what I mean? Because they're support ships that they might not be using so much in base hits, but you know they would use them in a lot of PvE stuff. But they're let down by the fact that they have no deflection.
Hey, and why not just give it a cold snap immunity while we're at it, Gadget, eh?
No, just some deflection, man. I don't think that's unreasonable.
No, I agree. You know, I guess at some point you're going to see like a Harlock Aegis that has deflection, but it's just going to be called something else. You know what I mean? We're probably going to get there one day where we'll see that again. I kind of like the idea that Kickstarter leaned off of creating like limited flagships, because I'm not sure that I don't know. I'm not sure that was really great for the game. We had so many, and it changed the game so much so quickly. I don't know. I kind of like that we're not getting that as frequently now. Like every month, new hull, new weapon, limited hull. You know?
I mean, and also as you were saying in the preview show, you can't give every hull every form of defense, because there's no point in having different sets of hulls. There's got to be a weakness of some description on each of the hulls. Mm-hmm. Which means you've got to think about why you're going to use them, how you're going to build them, and what its limitations are, and can you get around it with gameplay rather than just buffs and stats.
But again, with the Harlock's Aegis, somebody else in chat just said, and I agree with them, that they'd like to see some corrosive defense added to the Aegis field. And again, I wouldn't call that unreasonable, because you know it's supposed to be a support ship that buffs defenses, but it doesn't buff the defenses that we need it to buff. Do you know what I mean?
It doesn't last long enough to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. True, very true. I mean, I don't know. I guess it would be amazing to have a crystal ball and see what they're going to come. And I'm sure we probably will see some of the stuff you're suggesting here. I mean, if Kixeye hear it enough, they're more likely to think about building it or creating it. So, you know.
I was saying that those support ships, I mean, the Apollo's just blown those out of the water. There's nothing to keep up with the Apollos, so there's no point in thinking about.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, mate, I've got a couple built and they got no armor on them, and you don't need support ships with them. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me. We have got 11 slides to get through. We'll try and get through them all, but we'll see how we go, because I know we started them off a bit late. I'm going to share the next one. That crazy mad S that I just pronounced there. Okay, Global Hunt. Can you see that clearly, guys? From Friday, June the 10th to Monday, June the 13th, there is a time-limited event where you can attack megaships for blueprint shards. The number of available blueprint shards are limited. Each world will have a total number of shards that can be earned among all participants. A pill will show on the world map to indicate how many shards are still available in each world. Megaships will appear on the world map. Two targets will spawn a level 83 and a level 67 megaship, similar to those from the Civil War event. The higher level target will contain the coveted blueprint shards for superhulls such as the Proto-Nemesis, the Man of War, and the Ghost Crawler. And the lower level targets will contain blueprint shards for the Artemis, Aegis, and, quite interestingly, I was quite surprised at this, the Gamma Behemoth. There is a limit to the maximum number of blueprint shards a single player may capture. Shard types will only be available during specific times during the weekend. These targets will have increased VXP. Thank you, Kickside, because I have some Apollos that need that right now. Blueprint fragment drops are not guaranteed upon success. Once all blueprint shards in a world have been collected, no further blueprint shards of that type may be collected. So that's quite a lot of information here, guys, and I did not mean to waffle on. How do you guys feel about this? If I didn't send you to sleep there.
The Gamma ones, I have to say, I'm surprised they're in there.
Very surprised. Very surprised that they're in the lower ones as well.
Mm.
But you know what? I'm going to exploit that, because I'm going to use that to finish all 5 Gammas, so then I don't get any more bloody Gamma shards out of dubs.
Yeah, I'm getting my Nemesis this month, mate. But by the looks of the shards that we're going to have available, I'm going to have my Nemi this month. So I'm happy about it.
Well, I've stopped hitting dubs now because it just seems that the drop rates have changed in them.
Yeah, I stopped.
Yeah, so have I, mate.
Like, I used to get 2 a base, regardless, you know, I don't know what it was, but now I don't. The other day I hit a base, I didn't even get 1.
Mate, I've seen guys on forums that have hit over 100 bases without a shard drop. right? I mean, it almost seems, you know what it feels like? It feels like they've got the same drop rate as the old Drak bases used to with the Nemi.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Do you know what I mean?
But I don't understand. Like, if kick size, if their plan was to make these shards more exclusive, then what? Then that's fair enough. Then okay, like say, okay, cool, we're going to change the drop rate and let us know. That's fine. Can live with that. But why do it? But then sell them? Why make them harder to get out of dubs and then sell them in daily shopping things? I mean, that's a bit naughty, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? I mean, they're selling them to us now, but you can't win them in dubs anymore.
Yeah, but I don't buy them. I refuse to spend coins on something like that. You know,
I've bought them every time I've seen them, but I've only seen them like twice.
I refuse to buy them, mate. It's the same thing as when they you know, they give you a 12-hour token for 12 coins, X amount of days in a row, and then you log in and you click on it and it says 12-hour token, 20 coins. I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
That shop is a bit weird price-wise. It just goes up and down like a yo-yo, like.
Yeah, but if you buy it when it goes up, it doesn't go back down. It goes up again.
So,
right? Do you know what I mean? And then it takes ages because I made that mistake and I bought it when it had gone up because I was finishing off a ship build and I thought, well, you know what? It's a little bit more expensive than I want, but it's cheaper than coining it, right? So I bought it and I had to wait for about 6 days for it to go back down to the level that it was at before.
Well, I mean, what do you guys feel about this idea of making like an event that kind of? I mean, this is the first time we've seen an event that spans across an entire world, like an entire 100 sectors, and it's going to be a certain amount of like, what is it, 3,500 amount shards, and you know, once they're gone, they're gone. I mean, that's an interesting spin from Kickstarter. I've never seen that before.
It is, but let's be honest about it. Look at the numbers that are available per world, and look at the numbers each player can obtain himself. The ratio is not too bad. I was worried, and I thought to myself, hang on a minute, one person here who's absolutely crazy at bonkers and coins himself to death, monster, might go and grab the lot. But actually it doesn't need to, because you're limited, you're capped.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and interestingly, I see this as like, I think you're going to see a lot of players working together on this.
I think you might be right, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that they're encouraging multiplayer, because I feel that that's slowly faded a little bit. Another thing as well that I've noticed is, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but we've been absolutely spammed with targets similar to the targets of the last raid. Like, they've just been non-stop coming out.
I think that's intentional.
I think it's intentional too. I think they've been tweaking them ready for the next raid, getting them right.
But you know what though? The one thing I will say is we've been spammed with targets. Period. Right? I mean, I come out of my base. There's FM targets. There's armadas. There's DMBs all over the map. There's these new fragment ones all over the map, right? I mean, it's getting so it's hard to even find the thing you're looking for because the map's so freaking busy.
It's congested, but then again, that is partly our fault as a community, because we didn't want the old FM targets turned off, so they've overlapped. So, you know, the percentage of the targets are partly our own doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, no, I agree. I kind of also, I'm really quite happy about the VXP increase, because I need to get some fleets ranked. Well, I need to get some Apollos ranked for the next raid. So
that's the only thing which I looked at and thought, sweet.
Yeah, because I didn't have any ready for the last VXP weekend. So you know,
I think the last VXP weekend was awesome as well. Do you know what I mean? Like
what was the last one? Oh yeah, no, it was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah.
It was much better, man, than it has been of late, shall we say?
It worked for me. I've ranked every hull I've got now. I'm done.
Yeah, I still had Revenges to do, because I hadn't done the one before because I was away. So that it was fantastic. It was fantastic. But I didn't have Apollos built then, and now I do. So yeah. I was thinking I was going to have to spend a week with a triple crew on hitting salvages, and I was not looking forward to that. So thank you, Kicks.
See, got lazy.
maybe. Okay, guys. So the Forsaken missions, I may skip some of the stuff in this, because I'm only assuming that a lot of us have read the forum already, but I will screen share this next slide. Okay, Forsaken missions. At this time, we are still collecting data on the recent Forsaken mission changes and targets. I hope to have more information on the final configuration of the new Forsaken missions very soon, so stay tuned, captains. And that's directly from Doom Rooster, that information. So they are looking at the stats and trying to figure out the best alternative for that. The new Forsaken mission prizes: Zinfonite Armor DXCT. That's a mouthful. A Draconian Armor that provides a flat deflection stat. That's an interesting move by Kickstarter to release that.
Yeah.
Concussive plating 1 to 3. Forsaken tech that provides a flat concussive deflection for defensive platforms and other buildings. Now that is very, very, very interesting, I think. But we'll talk about these in a sec. The ATR transformer, a Forsaken transformer which provides increased turret range with a reduction in damage and resistances.
There's a few that are going to want that.
Yeah,
well, I don't know. That depends, man. I'm a little bit on the fence right now about that. I'm interested, but it depends on the damage reduction.
Well, do you know where that's going to go?
For me, it's going to go on my Drac Scatters. But that being said, if the damage reduction is too much, it's going to make the Drac Scatters ineffective.
No. Listen, you should put that right. Put it on a weapon that doesn't rely on its damage.
No, you want it. You want it on the whole the fact that Drac Scatter guns can be outranged by Gatling guns is a huge thorn in a lot of people's sides at the moment, right? Okay. And at the end of the day, that range, I feel, is meant to address that. But if the damage reduction is too much, it's gonna make the Drac Scatter gun ineffective. Do you know what I mean? So I've got to wait and see the exact stats before I make a decision on it, to tell you the truth.
How much damage it produces, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, I think that this will have use on holes like, on weapons like the Wendigo and the other cryo weapon, because
it's having this low effect, you mean?
Yeah, because they'll still get their bonuses from the pools. They'll still get the reducing damage, the reducing speed, the reducing resistances. They'll just be getting it at a higher range, and the biggest problem with those two weapons is their range. So from they're not a weapon that relies on the actual raw damage it deals. They rely on the secondary effect of the weapon. So that boost in their range is not even it's a no-brainer for me.
Well, to me, the only when it comes to Revengers hitting your base, there's only two effective turrets that you can use, right? And that's your Drac Scatter guns and your Deadeyes. And your Deadeyes are already sorted with range. They don't need no more range. And especially not if it's going to sacrifice damage in order to get it. So the only place I see for these, personally, I mean, just my opinion, is my Drac Scatter guns. I mean, Basilisks aren't even useful. I mean, they are somewhat, but once they get the Bloodthirst, they're not. They're totally useless. Do you know what I mean? So the only turrets I see that damage Revengers properly built is Deadeyes and Drac Scatters. That's it. Everything else is like bringing a toothpick to a gunfight.
Okay. Well, no, I see that point too. I think it's gonna be very interesting to see how they deliver that one. What did you guys feel about the concussive plating? Let me stop sharing because people are just looking at a screen of a slide right now.
Yeah, I don't know about the concussive plating either. Again, it's going to depend on the stats. It's going to depend on all sorts of different things, right? I mean, it could be good, but then it might not be that good, really, in practice. You're not really going to know until you put it on a turret and you get hit with Gatling guns, right?
And what are you going to take off to put on it?
That's my concern. What do I have to give?
Yeah, it's armor, isn't it? So you're going to have to take permacrete off. You're going to have to take permacrete off to put that on. And is the deflection going to be worth the sacrifice in armor?
I highly doubt it.
Well,
yeah, I think I'm with you there, Monster. I don't see them giving us a big enough deflection for it to be worth sacrificing all that armor.
No. As you say, it's all about stats.
Yeah, it is. But it's interesting to see something like this being released on the verge of a new hull coming, which is.
But it is giving us
also,
options.
if you don't have permacrete, do you know what I mean? If you don't have permacrete, then it's a great option, I would imagine. Right? It would be your next best option.
And shoving this on maybe your outpost, would bring your defensive the time it would take them to kill your outpost through the roof, potentially.
You can't put armor on your outpost
put it
if you've
on.
got fire support 2 and the overload mechanism. They're the only things that will fit.
I was just about
I
to say
know, I've seen that, but is it worth dropping fire support 2 maybe? To fire support 1?
No, because if you've got Deadeyes in your base, you need as many fire support at a high level as you can affecting them, because you need the damage buff from the fire support buildings to be 50% or more, and the more the better.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise they don't have an effect against Revengers, or what effect they do is so small it's minimal.
That's a capital I, capital F, by the way, because I don't have them.
Yeah, and then when someone comes in your base with a bloody 30% damage resistance crew on, you're like, oh god.
30% damage resistance does nothing, because all my Deadeyes have like.
But I mean, if you're looking at the boost you're getting in terms of your.
Yeah, but they all have penetrative bypass, so you can have as much extra penetrative defense as you want. It's not going to make a difference.
Mm. But does that include the building defense boost?
Building defense.
Mm-hmm. There's a specific crew that gives 30%.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the crew that goes building defense 30% and
You mean building damage?
The demo crew, you mean?
It is demo, isn't it?
Yes.
No.
Because I don't know. That's a different stat, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. Does that give you building damage? No, there isn't a crew that gives you turret defense, mate, or building defense. There is no crew that gives you a siege battery effect.
Okay, maybe I've misinterpreted.
I'm going to look at crews now while we're doing that.
Okay, and the tier placement for the new prizes, which I didn't mention there at the end of that. So tier 1 is none. Tier 2 is going to be the Zinfonite Armor D2CT and a concussive plating 2. Tier 3 will be the Zinfonite Armor D3 and a concussive plating 3. Tier 4 will be obviously the Zinfonite Armor D4 and a concussive plating 4. And tier 5 is where we're going to see the ATR transformer. So just bear that in mind. If you're looking for that transformer this next Forsaken Mission content drop, then you are going to have to get to tier 5 once.
Do you know what I'd like to know, if Kixeye are watching? When are we going to get our tokens back in tier 5? Please.
Yep.
Mm.
He was a fullback.
What do you mean back? I mean, we never got them in the first place, really.
No, but they were going to come out like that. They were set to come out like that, and then everyone complained, and they took them away.
Well, I don't mind shards. Like, I don't mind the shards there.
I don't mind the shards there either, but I wouldn't mind that extra token there as well. You know, so even if it was just that I won shards twice one week, and then the next week I won them once and got the token thing. You know, any extra token is better than no extra token.
Mm-hmm. To be quite honest, I'd rather have the tokens than shards. I've got no. I don't want like the shards. Do you know, I won't build them. So do you know what I mean? They just do naught for me at all.
Mm. Okay, guys. So another addition to the Forsaken Mission. So Forsaken Mission Tier 5. They've added in the Judgment Mortar and Explosive System 4 into Tier 5. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, I caught that.
Yeah, and the reason they're doing that, apparently, is due to these being components of Tier 5 in the upcoming Foundry release, which is set to be released on June the 7th, a week yesterday. So they've added more blueprint shards into Tier 5, and as previously noted, there is no weekly prize reset for Tier 5 at this time. Once a run-through of Tier 5 is complete and all prizes are gained, Tier 5 prizes are locked. So guys, I mean, what is the Judgment Mortar and Explosive System 4 being added into Tier 5 any kind of indication as to what hull we may be seeing in this raid?
I don't know, but put them in Tier 5 is a bit much, mate, isn't it?
That's what I was going to say. If they're being put into the Forsaken Mission in preparation for stuff going into the Foundry, why would you put them in the most unattainable tier in the Forsaken Mission? I mean, for me it's easy, but for other guys it's not. And if you're going to up the points required as well and make it so that you know, I don't know, man. I feel like you're excluding a lot of people from getting them if they don't have them already.
But let's be fair. Tier 5 is like, I mean, Tier 5 is end game. I mean, the stuff in Tier 4, most people endgame haven't got. So.
And Judgment Mortar is not an endgame thing, though, really, is it?
No, I mean, Judgment Mortar came out twice in 2 different raids, back to back, and Explosive System 4 was in the Forsaken missions for a long time in Tier 4. You could have got it for 50 million for a long, long time. So really, it's just a catch-up piece for anyone that doesn't have it. I see it as.
Totally agree. So why is it in Tier 5?
Yeah, definitely. I kind of, I'd be kicking myself if I didn't have it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to get into the slides because we are going long and we've still got a lot of slides to cover. So let me go into the next one. And this is a slide discussing the Foundry Assault, which is the new addition we've seen added to the game today. So there was an update, as you all know, today, and they added in assault holes. So let's have a quick run through. The assault line of holes has been added to the Foundry. Legion assault forces will spawn on the world map near nav relay towers at all sector threat levels. As with Foundry targets, the number of fragments that drop from these targets is increased at higher levels of sector threat. Okay, so penetrative damage was raised on all assault holes. The Kodiak's corrosive resistance was increased from 30 to 40. Missile Cruiser X got a penetrative damage increase of 35%. Interceptor V2H got a penetrative damage increase of 35%. The Kodiak got penetrative damage and the corrosive resistance to 40%, while the Rhino got a penetrative damage increase of 35%. Now, those were the instant buffs that these holes received before even going to the Foundry, basically.
Evening, Ren.
Yeah.
Hi, Ren.
Oh, Ren. How are you doing, Ren?
He's on mute at the moment, but I just want to say hi.
Okay. So, Foundry retrofits. We'll try and be quite quick with this. So, in fact, I'm not even going to sit down and go through these. Because
no, it's a good set of buffs, that's it.
Yeah, it's a good set of buffs. In particular, guys, the Kodiak and very much the Rhino get some really decent buffs there.
And there's no point going through them because you can just go and look in your Foundry and see.
Definitely. But if I'm going to draw anyone's attention to any of these stats here, I want to draw your attention to the Rhino.
R5 Rhino looks really good.
Yes, it definitely,
Yeah,
especially with the turret defense.
It's almost a standalone fleet by itself now.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably run 5 Rhinos and do the raid.
Yeah, and if you add Siege Battery to that, I would imagine it's going to stack.
I think
what I mean? So
Wow.
that's well, it did with it did and does with Hellhounds, mate. If you
didn't originally.
If you stick it does, mate. I can tell you it does. If you stick Siege Battery on a Hellhound, it stacks with the turret defense that's already on the hull.
It never used to because there was a big uproar
You
about
just get a lesser percentage, that's all.
it. It would take
it is diminishing
max.
It is diminishing returns, but it does stack. It will basically push you over 50% turret defense.
Because on the Hellhound, actually, I mean it's been and gone, but I remember there was an issue about that a while back. But yeah, no, that's great. That's great stats to be added to this. The assault DPS increases. I mean, that really gives this. By the time you actually add in the math, you have to bear in mind that those figures. So, say for example, as an assault DPS of 150, you have to divide that 150 across all weapon slots. So, say you've got
of course.
15.
But R5, it's 350 to 700.
Yeah, exactly. And if you've got 15 missiles fitted, divide it across that 15, and that's your figure of your damage increase on that weapon.
Okay, mate. So I'm looking at a Hellhound, an R5 Hellhound in Huggies right now with R15 Siege Battery, and it gets 73% ballistic, 78% explosive, 73% missile, 75% radioactive, and 50% corrosive and concussive.
Okay. Well, I'm not really sure. I mean, I know back in the day when that hull first came out, the hull I think at R5 it got 50% turret defense, but its base stat was, I believe it was it 30% or 40%?
It was 30% when it first came out.
And when you added Siege Battery 3, it only took it to 40%, which was something that people. So in the end, everyone just added Siege, the other one that just gives you building DPS increases.
Siege targeting.
Yeah, as opposed to adding Siege Battery, there was a big uproar in the forums about it, but perhaps it's changed over the years. I mean, it's been a long time since I've looked at that whole.
I'd be interested to find out, because if it stacks in the same way, then the Rhino is going to potentially become quite a beast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I agree. I mean, the Rhino already is a beast, but it's going to become more beastly.
Well, that's because they gave them away last bloody raid, mate.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, the Rhino has probably been the one hull that's been given out more so than any other hull in the game. And Ren, how's it going, buddy?
Hey, how are you? Good?
Yeah, good. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. So that's just, this is the last slide in this section. I think we can almost certainly say we're going to run over a little bit tonight. Anyway, Fragment Drop Weekend from June the 3rd at 12 p.m. PDT to June the 5th, 12 p.m. PDT. You may earn double the amount of fragments from targets at all levels of sector threat. A pill will appear in the HUD to indicate when fragment drops are increased, which is fantastic. Bug fixes and tune-in. Fixed an issue where players could not swap out ships from storage with ships in their dock when both were at maximum capacity. Corrected a minor text cutoff issue in the repair specialist repair reduction pop-up. Never even noticed any of these. Fixed a bug where a limited turret blueprint might incorrectly show as having 2 built, even though only 1 was built, while a platform with 1 copy of the turret was being refit. Okay. Anyone notice any of those? No?
no, can't say
No,
that.
I'm actually curious to know if they actually address the problems that have been bugging everyone, like people with issues to start R&D objectives,
Not at all, Ren. No.
or people docking Skull ships that have VXP repairs specialists, and every time you dock, you get the pop-up as if your ship had just ranked that time. This is annoying me, to be honest.
Neither of those have been looked at. Well, not in bugs fixing tuning.
I have not.
Both of them are damn annoying.
And the double fleet, the double battle is back as well when you go to engage a base and your fleet goes into battle outside and inside.
I've just advised my guys to ticket that, and each person's getting on average 25 to 30 coins back for every incident at the moment.
But that does not mean that anyone should go and do that. That's not what we're implying.
Okay. No, I'm just saying if it's done to you, and you've got to, you shouldn't have taken any damage, and you have just lost your whole fleet. Mm-hmm. Because you're in a double battle situation, then surely you should be fixing that for free, which is actually what they're doing at the moment.
I have to say, guys, I have not noticed any of these issues, but I mean,
Liam, are you playing the game?
I've not experienced any of those problems.
Step out of the hairdresser, you. Come on.
I've had my fleet snagged 3 times.
I guess my fleets are just cooler than your guys' fleets. You know?
Moving on.
Moving on, yeah. No, so how many slides have we got left, guys? We are looking at
72.
Oh, we're not doing too bad. We have only a few left, so that's fantastic. I didn't realise we'd gone through that many already. So
save the best till last.
Yeah, you're killing everyone, man. Everybody's sitting there waiting for. You know what they're waiting for.
What? Oh,
give the people what they want, man.
I know what you're waiting for. You can wait. No. Right, June event, Civil War, escalation. I love the way I extend words and make them sound longer than they are. It's a real talent. But anyway, Zoe's Harlock feud has escalated beyond our expectations. While the Forsaken and Elysian facing off against one another, it's just a matter of time before someone gets hurt. Escalation is the second in the Civil War event cycle. We have made some adjustments to targets based on your feedback from the last event. More details available soon. Escalation begins on June the 16th, guys. So is everyone ready for the raid? Yeah? No?
Yeah.
We're sucked up. Now, guys, I generally feel that this raid's going to be a lot better than the last raid. Kicks have been tweaking the targets all throughout the month, and I do feel that it's going to be a lot easier as well. So,
I was ready for the last raid. I'm even more ready for this raid.
You're just a coiner, Gadget.
No, I didn't coin my Apollos at all, mate. Both the Apollos that I've got, I have slow built and used tokens since the last raid.
My Apollo tank comes out in 2 days.
I know what you're being bloody tokens.
And you know what? I haven't spent any money building them.
I don't believe
I mean, and they've got no armor, and I'm expecting them to do awesome in the raid.
Well, I have spent money on Apollos, but they're not ranked, and I expect them to do awesome in the raid too. So, let's just shove that. Guys,
I'm fucking childish.
Yeah, I know. So, guys, anyone else? Have you all been preparing for the raid? Obviously, Gadget's got his fleet from last month. I built some Apollos. You guys, are you just going to run with the same fleets as last month, or?
Yeah. Rhinos and Pontac, mate.
Yeah, and everyone's stocking up on road crews, guys. That's a good tip as well. Everyone, get out there and stock up on your road crews ready for the raid.
Yeah. The only thing I've just done is I've swapped my Pun tank for an Apollo tank. It comes out in 2 days, and then Rhino's behind that.
Well, I've gone for Apollos with switchblades. I will either be burnt or very happy. I guess I'll let you guys know how that works out. So we did show this hull at the beginning, but we have maybe a slightly more detailed picture of it now, and I will screen share this. And then we will go into our TFC exclusive. Ren, have you had a chance to see that yet?
Which one, the hull?
No, never mind. We'll get onto it next. So the Legion designer, we did actually show this at the beginning of the show, and this was posted in the forum as well, wasn't it? But yeah, it's an absolutely... I think it's one of the best hulls visually that's been released this year.
So 7 weapon slots then, looks of it.
Oh, it is. Yeah, you're correct. 7 weapon slots. In principle. But, yeah, I mean, it does say weapon placement there in the bottom of the picture. So
it looks like it belongs in Pimp My Ride. It's quite good, isn't it?
It's very good. It's actually not very... I don't think it's too far from Apollo in terms of the design.
It looks like one of those it's come out of those American custom shows.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've just somehow done that, but okay, guys. So we were quite lucky in the fact that Kixeye have given us an exclusive regarding the hull and the weapon, so we can reveal to you a little bit of information about this. And this is not public. This is a Forsaken Council exclusive. So huge thank you to Raken for providing this information and sorting this out. So the Vendetta. The hull itself, this is a new Conqueror hull called the Vendetta that uses both mortars and rockets. It will have an aura that provides critical chance bonus to rockets, launchers, and depth charges to ships within the aura. This aura will be able to stack with other Vendettas to improve the critical hit bonus. Now, guys, I will say to you that me and Gadget were kind of disputing this. I'm not sure if this is a slight typo in the way that this is written. When it says that it has a critical chance to bonus to rocket launchers and depth charges. Now, I'm not sure if it was meant to say rocket launchers or rockets and launchers, and that was something me and Gadget were talking about, because I was kind of surprised to see launchers being in there, but I don't know.
But that being said, by the same token, you'd be just as surprised to see depth charges in there, because there's no mention of the hull being a depth charge hull.
Yeah, and you would.
The Gatling gun. The Gatling gun's a depth charge and behaves like a rocket, so you know. That could be
fair point. Yeah, that's the point.
But the hull's supposed to be rocket and mortar, and I don't see any critical chance for mortars there either. So I mean, it's kind of a little bit. You know,
yeah, the launcher thing in there doesn't make sense. It's probably that comma shouldn't be there.
Unless we're getting a new launcher soon.
Yeah, maybe launchers is meant to say mortars, rocket mortars and depth charges, because that would make sense. Then it would work in conjunction with the Revenge. Anyway, let's continue. So the aura will be able to stack with other Vendettas to improve the critical hit chance. Now, I did check and ask. It does stack with your R&D critical hit chance, and it does stack with any road crews that increase your critical hit chance. It will all stack together, so it won't be you know, not added due to it. So also in point C here, Renaissance Battery will work with the Vendettas. So as you see above there about the aura field that this hull is going to create.
So and maybe we should pause now, because a lot of players may not remember what the Resonance Battery is. It's a node special that's not widely used.
Okay, you take a moment. Well, Ren, go on. You explain it.
I mean, for people who don't remember, I mean, that was a special that only activates when your ship is in a tactical field, either a friendly tactical field from one of your ships, or a hostile tactical field from one of your enemy ships, right? And then it gave you some extra resistance, multiple types of resistance, and extra combat speed, so you could get your ships faster. and more durable against incoming fire whenever they were within range of a tactical field. So that was the resonance battery for people who don't remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the resonance battery, basically, I mean, I remember using it. I remember putting in an ECM destroyer in my base and having a couple of ships with the battery equipped, and it worked. So that was
the destroyer had a friendly field. That's right.
Yeah, but what's interesting about this is Liam, actually, you asked him, didn't you, if you had, say, 5 of these Vendettas, all with resonance battery, would they stack? And you were told that they would, weren't you?
Yeah, exactly. So let's read out the paragraph there. So the resonance battery will work with the Vendetta. As a result, the special for this hull will be a resonance battery alternative called the resonance capacitor that provides bonus damage, turret defense, and combat speed. So basically, they're going. I don't know if that means they're going to release a special with this hull, or
sounds like it. No,
yeah,
sounds like
it's either going to come with the hull, or it will. Well, it's not going to be in the Forsaken mission, is it? Because they've already announced
I think just like the Apollo, it'll come at the same time in the same raid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because remember last raid. I mean, if you remember last raid, one tier had a special, then up above that the weapon, and above that the hull. So probably that's going to be the special first, right?
Agreed, Ren. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, agreed. And so guys, I did ask regarding the like Gadget mentioned there. I asked it regarding the aura field. Basically, what I wanted to know is if I had 5 Vendettas stacked together, and one of them was equipped with a resonance battery or a resonance capacitor.
Resonance.
Sorry, yeah, I keep saying it wrong. Sorry. Would it get a stack from? So would it get? It would technically one ship would be in 4 ships aura fields, wouldn't it? So would it get that bonus to stack times 4? And apparently it would, although it wouldn't stack, say, 20% plus 20% plus 20%.
Be careful. No. I mean, the aura stacks in the sense that it increases the chance of a critical hit. That's
he
up there.
Specifically asked about the resonance battery stacking.
Well, the resonance battery, the one we have today in the game, if you put a ship with resonance battery in 2 auras at the same time, you don't get anything extra compared to when it's in the field of 1.
Are you sure about that?
I remember testing that years ago when it came out.
Well, I did ask the question to Raken, and maybe I kind of misunderstood his answer. So, in which case, if I have, then I will certainly apologise. But I can only portray it as it was said to me, and it was said that it did stack, but perhaps I've misunderstood that. So I'll double check that, guys, before I say any more about that, because Ren could have a good point there.
I mean, and you know, the other thing is it might be that the resonance battery doesn't. But the resonance capacitor does.
Exactly. We don't know.
Also,
the battery didn't. Let me put it this way. In the past, when it was released, the battery did not benefit from multiple fields.
Definitely not.
I mean, because I don't know.
I mean, he definitely knew what he was talking to you about, because he was quite specific in explaining that, say, the first one would give you 20, and then the following subsequent ones would, say, give you 5%. So he knew there was no confusion about what you were talking about, right? You know.
Correct. Well, I mean, I guess we'll see on that one. But I also did ask some of the obvious questions, which I felt that, you know, although as obvious and stupid as they were, I felt we should ask them, and that was if the Renaissance and the battery and the capacitor, if you could use them together, and of course you can't use them together, it's going to be a trade-off to pick one or the other. So that's the trade-off of those two.
Which is interesting, because they, other than combat speed, their bonuses are different. The original Resonance battery gave you resistance,
damage,
and gave you. Did it give you damage?
Yeah, it gives you a damage buff and a resistance buff.
I remember the resistance buff and the combat speed buff. Okay. So the turret defense is the difference there then.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, let's go into section D there. And this is specific to the weapon itself that's coming out with this hull in the raid. It's going to be a new weapon called the Coaxial Firestorm. And obviously the name is a slight giveaway for you there. It's going to be a coaxial weapon that has a rocket as a primary and a mortar as a secondary. Unlike previous coaxial weapons, though, the secondary mortar will work with remote targeting. So that is very, very interesting, I feel. Very
You see, it's the kind of thing, honestly, I don't like. And just not the weapon in itself. I just don't like the fact that they keep making exceptions and for everything, and it's so hard to understand how the game goes sometimes, because so far everyone kept saying, oh, secondary weapons don't trigger remote. Secondary weapons don't trigger remote. And now, oh, this one does. So
I agree.
It's very hard to keep up.
I don't like the duality of it, mate. I'm tired of them giving us these dual weapons. It's honestly, it's getting on my nerves, right? I mean, the switchblade, now this, the trident. You know, like I don't care whether it's dual offensive defensive, dual defensive defensive, dual offensive offensive. I just want my weapon to be a weapon, and if I want to have more than one weapon on my boat, then I'll put more than one weapon on my boat. Stop forcing me to use more than one weapon when I don't want to.
I'm 100% with you, Gadget. I don't like the coaxial dual mode thing where you don't really control which mode's on, which mode's off. I just think it makes everything so much more complex, and I'd rather have more control. Sorry.
Exactly, and the game's complex enough already as it is.
The only thing I'd like about that is if you actually had a keyboard control, like S for switch or something, and you could actually switch fire, and then it just go completely on to option 2 from option 1, and then press the keyboard button again, and it revert back to the other option. Then you've actually got full control over it. But
if you had control, it would be a different story, I guess. But the way they are, it's too complex, and in many cases I just prefer using a pure weapon or a pure CM. It works better.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, well, guys, I mean that was. I mean, personally, with this weapon, I know what you guys are saying about the previous weapons, but I think that the flaw in the Switchblade and the flaw in the Trident was the fact that it's defensive and offensive, and the fact that this weapon is going to combine two of the most coolest weapons in the game, like rockets and mortars, and it's not going to be confusing. And in fact, from what Raykin said, it's actually the design in this weapon is going to be a lot less complex, so it's going to be a little bit more basic. You know, you're in a short range, you're firing rockets, and if nothing's close to you, you're firing some mortars. I mean, it should basically make a base catch on fire before your very eyes. I mean, imagine sticking incendiary shells on this. The thing's just going to be insane. You know, it's going to be insane to see.
But I understand, but again, you're giving up control. I mean, let's say I'm blitzing a base or moving, and I don't want to hit the target next to me. I want to ignore that target. I want to use my mortars to hit something long range. I don't have that control. So then I'd rather have some ships with mortars and some ships with rockets, if that's the case.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you're going to blitz a base and use the rockets, you don't want the mortars flying all over all these other things at the same time, right? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't like the making me have different ranges. Do you know what I mean? Like, again, that's a personal choice, right? If you, like me personally, I rarely build with different ranges on my boats, right? If there's more than one weapon, like on my Punisher build where I had the siege cannons, that wasn't to use the siege cannons as an offensive weapon. They were just simply there for the speed buff, right? So when I build a hull, I don't want to have two separate offensive ranges. Do you know what I mean? Because it confuses the issue, especially when you're driving, right? I mean, if you're driving against a target or against another player, and you're controlling your ships, like not just stacking them and running around, because nowadays a lot of the time you have to control things individually. I don't need to be thinking about all that and worrying about my two different ranges. Do you know what I mean? It makes it too much for me, in my opinion.
It's just like the Revenge. I mean, look at the Revenge now. You're driving a Revenge. You don't know your secondary mode range. You can see that. Or you're trying to put one in your base guard. You can see the secondary mode range. You got to start doing tricks to be able to see what the range is, right? And you can control either. I mean, you know, you get in range of the primary, boom, you lost a long range weapon. Now you're forcefully firing short range, even if you don't want to. It's I mean, does it work? Yeah, it works. Do I like it? Personally, I don't.
Yeah. And also I don't like rocket.
I think the person in chat just brought it up. Mixed fleets don't work. We don't mix fleets now because they don't work.
Well,
so now they're giving us a mixed weapon.
That was going to be my next question. I mean, do we think this hull's going to work well with Revenges? You know, I see in its stats it's already saying that it's got an aura that boosts the Revenge's most commonly used weapon? Will it have Bloodthirst built into it? You know, would this be the kind of hull that you run with a Revenge and it runs forward and melts all the walls, and then a Revenge follows up and that doesn't have to deal with walls? You know, is this designed intentionally to work with the Revenge?
It probably will work well in a mix. I mean, don't get me wrong. And by the way, I'm not saying it's not going to work. Just like the Revenge works. Well, what I'm saying is, I don't like these dual mode weapons. Just like Gadget said, I'm 100% with him. I think it makes everything unnecessarily complex, and it takes control from you, right? So now you as a player, you're kind of like giving control to these dual weapons when I'd rather have the control and design my fleets to either be short range or long range, or I'll mix them the way I want. You know?
And the choice. It's giving you the choice. That's the thing, right? Like, using this weapon is taking the choice away from me. I have to have these two different ranges, whether I like it or not. You know, so that's probably, to be honest, what's going to discourage me from using this weapon. Even if I build the hull, I don't think I'm going to use that weapon on it, mate. Okay,
guys. Another thing as well, so I want to throw into the mix of this is this come out of my Q&A regarding the hull. The hull will be affected by the cold snap and the frostbite turret. Its aura will be eliminated by that effect, which is quite interesting, I felt.
So it's good because it gives people choices in designing their bases, right? So some things don't affect the Revenge, but will affect the new hull. So it creates diversity in the game where some bases will be better taken up with Revenge, some others with the Vendetta. That I think it's good. It brings more skill to the game, right? Driving skill choices, not just fleet of the month, I win, click back of the base kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I just felt it was interesting because I feel like since we've seen the kind of PvE, PvP division, that was just after the Cold Snap's release, and I almost felt like I know some players have scrapped their Cold Snaps, and I know some players are, you know, they kind of became obsolete. So it's nice to see that, you know, we're here with a new PvP hull coming, and it will be affected by the Cold Snap. I just felt that was a good touch.
Any of the fleet that gets affected by the Cold Snap, mate, it just gets wiped out. So.
Yeah, someone in chat just made a good point as well. The silent kill. He said, "What about weapon-specific specials? That's not going to work well with two different weapons."
Well, it does because both weapons, like mortars and rockets, both are not accuracy-based. They're both splash spread kind of weapons. So pretty much anything you use, I mean, not everything, but explosive system, force, they all work with both. The only ones that I think would not. It's there's one special that's for rockets.
Rocket reload.
The reload.
Yeah. Oh, what's that called now? I don't think anyone's used it in so long.
Cluster warheads.
That's it.
Warheads. Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
My only big concern with this is that we all know rocket fleets are just a flash in the pan.
Well,
they always have been.
Also, guys, I did ask regarding its planned defenses, or at least maybe the direction they were going in. Currently, they are looking at it having corrosive, penetrative, and ballistic deflection. So that's a slight turn and twist on the Revenge, which is, I guess, what we expected to give the game a bit of diversity. But that's its currently planned deflection. Now, also, I do want to say as well, about all the information that Kixeye gave us regarding the hull and the weapon, that this is subject to change. It could change. You know, it might not be set in stone, so we don't know.
It probably will change and be adjusted before it's released. I mean, that's pretty.
Everything's always subject to change until.
I mean, they change things after they release. Exactly. Why would they change before?
and I just want to say to anyone in the chat that might be disappointed that we don't have. You know, I know a lot of people want to see pictures of stuff and look at it for themselves, but we don't have that. You know, we got what we got. You know, we got some information early, and I'm sorry if that disappoints anyone, but that's all we got, man. They didn't get. It's not like we're holding anything back from you.
No. I mean, and thanks to Kixeye. I mean, they gave the show an exclusive bit of information about the raid that's not public. You know, I mean, you find out now about the weapon, what it's going to do, what it's about, the special, the whole. You know, that's a lot of information 2 weeks before a raid. So thank you, Kixeye, for that, and thank you for allowing the community to hear about that, and especially for allowing us to be the ones that deliver that information on the show. That's very great. So thank you, guys. So Is there anything else? Have we missed anything? I know we've managed to get through all the slides. Is there any bits of information anyone wanted to talk about, or Ren, was there anything you wanted to throw into the mix, mate?
Nope.
No. So everyone seems fairly happy. I mean,
there's been a lot of talk about Revengers being able to outrange your basilisks in like your base, but what people tend to forget is that when a ship targets, it targets the turret. It doesn't target the weapon, and the turret has got a bigger platform than what the weapon itself is. Like, you know what I mean? It's got a bigger.
Yeah, it's always been like that. What it does is when your turret targets a ship. Well, yeah, when your turret targets a ship, it targets a point in the middle, right in the middle of your hull, right? And when your ship targets a turret, it targets the platform, right? You know, and the platform has a bigger footprint than the ship does. So when there's really only a tiny difference in range, the ship is always going to have the advantage because of its smaller footprint.
Yeah.
And there's also, isn't there like a certain, depending on the angle, like if you're coming on top side or bottom side, like top side has the range advantage of bottom side. So
from the top you gain 1 or 2 range.
Yeah, so if you're having this issue, plan your base so the ships have to come in from the bottom side, and then your turrets have the range advantage as opposed to ships having the range advantage coming on the top on you.
Even then, the corrosive turrets will be outranged by maybe 1 point, but it requires extremely accurate, good driving, right? Especially because you can't see the range, I mean, of the turret, or you know, it's very hard to get it right.
Well, listen, guys. Thanks everyone for coming out on the show tonight. I appreciate all of you guys being here with us, and especially all the people there that have been in the YouTube and viewed the show and been in the chat. And, of course, the TFC community. We do it all for you. So have a great week in BP. Catch us in the page, and we will no doubt be having a good chat on Saturday about the weekend event and stuff. Yeah, so, guys, we will see you next week. And if not, we'll see you on the Saturday show. Have a great week, and take care.
Right.